You've just watched a video by Iman Ghazi on how to get to 10K a month, and so you start an agency, and within the first 2 weeks of cold calling med spas in your area, you quit. That sound like you? If you're watching this video, you've likely been doing all the right things, but results don't come from just doing the right thing, but doing them over a prolonged period of time. And so in this video, I'll be giving you a step-by-step framework on how to stay committed to whatever you want to achieve. But after this video, you might actually end up reconsidering a lot of your current goals, which brings us to step 1, which is to have intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is defined as the doing of an activity for its inherent satisfaction rather than for some separable consequence. This just basically means that your motivation for doing something comes from within and not external factors. Some examples of external factors could be money, validation, status, and some internal or intrinsic motivations could be doing something because you enjoy, doing something because you want to maybe support someone, or there's someone who wants to provide for their family. That's an intrinsic motivation. Because the thing is, you're less likely to commit to something if it doesn't actually mean that much to you. Think about someone who's maybe dropshipping because they want to take some girl on a date, or because they want to get recognition from their friends. And then someone who's dropshipping because they have to provide for their family and put food on their tables, right? Just an example. Who do you think is more likely to commit? The person who wants the recognition or the person who has to put food on their table? You're probably gonna choose the second one, right? Because it means much more to that second person than it does to the first person. And at the end of the day, doing something for a shallow or extrinsic reason is simply in vain. I mean, you deciding to start a business just so you can get girls doesn't actually have any intrinsic meaning behind it. And so you're less likely to actually go through with it for long enough. But it's important to note that extrinsic motivations or extrinsic desires are not bad. It's just that having them as your driving force for doing something isn't sustainable in the long term. Things like money, status, girls, they're not bad things. But when you do those as your driving force for starting that business or working out or implementing good habits, you're less likely to commit because it doesn't really mean that much to you. So an actionable step would be to find intrinsic alternatives to your extrinsic motivations. So for example, let's say you're going to the gym because you want to look good so you can get girls. Now, going to the gym is a good thing. I don't think you should stop. But if you don't like going to the gym, or if you're unable to commit to going to the gym, that's because your reasoning for doing it is off. So what you need to do is just find something that relates to gym, that relates to working out and fitness that you enjoy. That way your motivation for that will be intrinsic. Most people, they'll lift weights because, they'll get results the quickest, and it'll ensure that, they have the best physique so they can get the girls. But if you're not able to commit to that, then just find an alternative, like maybe CrossFit. Right, that's what I normally do. 6 days a week I do CrossFit, not just because I saw it as the best option, but just because it's what I enjoy doing. I might switch it up a bit, but for now it's what I'm comfortable with, and it's what I'm able to commit to 6 days a week. But actually finding that intrinsic motivation requires you to be authentic. We'll be making a whole video on authenticity later on in the future, so just stay tuned for that one. But it really just requires you to be honest with yourself. I know it's not an easy thing, and I know it might require you to stray from the things that most people are doing, and that might give you a bad look. But if it's really what will help you stay committed to your goals, it's what will help you get to where you want to be, and you should do that. Principle 2, don't overwhelm yourself. There's this verse in Ecclesiastes, and I'm just going to read it out for y'all real quick. There is one alone, without companion. He has neither son nor brother, yet there is no end to all his labors. Nor is his eye satisfied with riches. But he never asks, for whom do I toil and deprive myself of good? This also is vanity and a grave misfortune. If you're watching this video, then you likely fit into my target demographic or whatever, and you probably don't have much to lose. And I'm not saying don't work hard. You should definitely work hard, but don't do it at the expense of your other priorities, because you will burn out. And for some of you who've experienced burnout, it's not a good thing. You feel very demotivated to continue doing the work, even if you know that you have to. But because you've taken up all your mental reserves, no longer have that drive, that motivation to continue. But please, don't mistake my words. You will likely become demotivated regardless. There's another verse in Ecclesiastes that says there's a time for everything. And so even demotivation will occur regardless of whether you're doing something that's authentic to you or something you can commit to. But it will not be to the point of burnout because you won't be overwhelming yourself. And another way in which people overwhelm themselves is by trying to be 100 steps ahead when they only need to be 5. Like, you need to stop that. You do not have to watch 100 YouTube videos on how to do one basic thing. Like, it's not that hard, and it's just gonna be productive procrastination. You don't want to fall into that rut of stressing out about how to start a registered company when you only have 100 subscribers. It's not necessary. Principle 3. You're always one action away. You're always one video away. You're always one song away. You're always one cold call away, one promotion away from crossing that threshold and seeing results. And just having that mentality will help you heavily. It's important to note your threshold will not always be the same as someone else's, and you cannot necessarily predict or calculate this. All you can do is try and become 1% better every day and try and just think to yourself that your threshold, you will cross it if you just continue going. Principle 4, extend your timeline. We live in a society where every 14-year-old kid wants to become a millionaire by 18 because they saw some handsome guy from Dagestan do it. And that's the main issue with today's society. We feel like we're entitled to results, that we have to see ourselves get to that point because someone else did. But we have to understand that there are so many factors that go into someone's success in something. There are people who put in the work and don't actually see that level of success. So yes, continue to dream big. I believe that is important, but maybe extend your timeline a bit. It's not that big of a deal, because what happens when you give yourself that entitlement mentality, when you don't get to where you want to be at that time frame, you start to become underwhelmed. Principle 5. Patience is key. Patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. You cannot become committed if you are not patient, because what will happen is that at the first sight of failure, you'll just quit. But notice how in the definition for the word patience, the word wait is never used. That's because patience is not waiting. Just think about it for a minute. If we're in a line and you're impatient and I'm patient, we're both waiting. The only difference is that I'm accepting the situation and you're arguing, you're complaining. Because what waiting is to stay where one is at or delay action until a particular time or event. You have to do the opposite. Instead of delaying action, you have to put in more action, right? Because commitment requires action. You cannot commit if you don't act. If you are just doing nothing, that's not patience, that's idleness. And yes, there is a period of time where you won't receive the outcome that you want, but that's not when you should wait. That's when you should prepare. You have 2 people. Both of them prayed for God to bless them with financial freedom. One, every day he asks God, why have I not gotten my financial freedom? Why is my business not taking off? Why are my metrics so low? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But the other one, he's working. Instead of complaining, he's working. He's not just waiting for the blessing, he's preparing for the blessing, right? When it comes, he's ready for it. If you manage to implement these 5 principles into your life, into your work, into your fitness, into whatever you want to achieve, you will see exponential results because you will stay committed. I've personally been implementing these very same principles into my life for the past probably 6-7 months, and I've definitely seen how much my life has changed. We've been induced into so much pressure by society instead of cause us to break. And yes, pressure is good, pressure is important, but too much pressure causes you to break. If you take a hammer and you smash a lump of coal, it's gonna break apart, right? Because that's too much pressure. But if you put the coal under pressure for a prolonged period of time, then it will turn into a diamond. That's what we're doing. We're turning into diamonds. So you don't want to rush the process. I think some of y'all have seen, I used to edit a lot. This video isn't as highly edited as some of my other videos. And the reason that's the case is because I'm trying not to overwhelm myself, right? Because I have other things that I have to do. I want to continue being consistent, to commit without overwhelming myself, because I was going to experience burnout at some point. And so I don't think I had to learn that lesson. I just had to stop where I'm at and rethink the way I go about this content thing. And that might be a viable option for you too. Maybe you have a goal. You're trying to commit, but you just can't. Or you're committing, but you feel like you're gonna get to a point of burnout. Reconsider your approach. Extend your timeline. Just be patient. implement the 5 principles. That's really all you have to do. I know there are a lot of people out there who struggle with commitment in any aspect, but commitment is one of the most important skills that we should have as humans. And so if you maybe know somebody like that, share this video with them so they can gain some insight, gain some knowledge. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe and join the Jesus gang, because we're going to be posting bangers weekly. But honestly, I think the most important thing to commit to in 2024, if you're up for the challenge, is building your relationship with the Lord. Because you could commit to so many things. You could commit to your business, your fitness, your health, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything if you're not in good standing with the Lord, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, because you're gonna die and everything that you accumulated will not come with you. Not even your body, not even your 10 out of 10 physique that you spend years upon years building. It won't come with you. Tens of millions of dollars, it won't come with you. And I know if you're watching this video, then you're probably young and ambitious. Alright, and you're gonna achieve these things at some point if you stay dedicated. But it won't mean a thing if you perish. So definitely hope this video has helped y'all. If you could take away one thing from this video, you can ignore everything else. But if you can take away that one thing, that the highest level ROI thing you can do is having a relationship with Christ, having a connection to Christ, then that would mean the world to me. God bless.